What's going on, everyone? Chris from Pickdawgz.com here with the breakdown. We're going to be taking a look at 8 college football games going down on Saturday, October 19th, 2024. If you like what you see, if you like this content, make sure you smash that thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel if you're looking for my best bets, the games that I love, including my daily $15 best bet. Head on over to Pickdawgz.com and click the Premium Picks tab at the top of the page. But we got week 8 finally here. We're already halfway through the season. It seems like just yesterday we were doing our first breakdown of the season. But plenty of money to still be made. We still got some marquee matchups on the board. I picked through and I found some of the games that I want to give out to you guys here on the breakdown. Games that I really like that are on my radar for week 8. So let's not wait any longer. Let's make some money. What do you guys say? You guys know the drill. You ready? I'm ready. Let's get into it. For our first game, we're heading to Columbia, where the Missouri Tigers take on the Auburn Tigers. This one's going down 12 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Missouri, a 4-point favorite in this one, and you know, Missouri got crushed by Texas A&M a couple weeks ago, and then bounced back with sort of the sandwich spot game. You know, they got the win over UMass 45-3. And you look at Missouri's schedule, and some people will say, well, who have they beaten? And I was an advocate for Missouri coming into the season, and even I would look at that schedule and say, yeah, well, who have they really played? I mean, the wins, Murray State and Buffalo, cool. You beat Boston College by 6, didn't cover as a 14.5-point favorite, didn't cover a 17.5-point favorite, only beating Vandy by 3. But now that we see what Vandy's done, maybe that win is starting to look a little bit better for Missouri in that one. Got crushed by A&M and then the win over UMass. But even though Auburn's coming to town here, and this is still an Auburn team that's looking to build up some momentum, and they've played a tough schedule, games against teams like Georgia on the road in their last game. They're coming off a bye week as well. I still think we're not getting enough points for me to take a shot on Auburn here. I just think Missouri is heads and shoulders the better team here. They have more competent quarterback play with Brady Cook leading the charge. And Auburn, they went from Hank Brown back to Peyton Thorne, and Thorne was decent in his last start. But you look at Auburn, this is a team that, they want to run the football. And Missouri's defense, top 40 in yards per carry allowed. They're top 40 against the rush. They're great against the pass, and Auburn actually has a pretty good passing attack. They're top 30 in passing yards, but Missouri's pass defense is 10th in the country in passing yards allowed. Again, you call into question their level of opposition on the other side, but I think Missouri just runs past Auburn here, wins this one by a touchdown. I'm going to take Missouri laying the 4 points. Now we head to Neyland Stadium for a matchup between the Tennessee Volunteers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. One of the marquee matchups on Saturday. This one's going down at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Alabama, a 3-point road favorite. Total set at 56.5. And for me, I think this game boils down to which side is less broken. Alabama's defense or Tennessee's offense. Because I think Alabama's offense is going to be able to keep clicking regardless of who's on the other side. Granted, last week against South Carolina was the closest call that Alabama's had for the better part of the season, the game that they didn't lose. I mean, they had the one-score win over Georgia that came down the final couple minutes, but we were talking about a game against South Carolina. They won by 2, Alabama did, as 21-point favorites in that thing, and a game that South Carolina had all intents of going out and winning outright. So I think that Alabama's offense is going to be just fine. It's the defense that I'm concerned about, but my concern is for Tennessee. Their offense just has not been the same. This is a team that, sure, got by Florida last week 23-17. But again, the offense wasn't necessarily anything to write home about. And while Tennessee's numbers at home are great, got to remember the other two teams they played are Chattanooga and Kent State. And last week against Florida, this Tennessee offense, 169 yards passing, 143 yards rushing, around 3 yards per carry. It wasn't anything to write home about. And they got the break of getting to face DJ Lagway after Graham Mertz got hurt mid-game. I just think this Alabama offense can still keep it rolling here. I think Alabama wins this one in a statement victory to the playoff committee. I'm going to take Alabama here. I'm going to lay the 3 points. Now we're heading to Illinois for a matchup between the Fighting Illini and the Michigan Wolverines. This one's going down at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, and this one's going down on CBS. Michigan, a 4-point road favorite here. Total set at 44.5. And this is one of those games where, I was kind of back and forth on the side here because you had Illinois coming off with a collapse in the second half against Purdue, going from a 23-point favorite to almost losing that game to the Boilermakers outright when I called for the quit factor for the Boilermakers. And I'll tell you, Purdue did not look like they quit in the second half of that game. It looked like Illinois quit more than anything. While Michigan, they're 4-2 on the year. They've had a bye week to kind of right the ship. They're coming in off of the loss to Washington last time out, sitting at 4-2. But while Michigan's offense at times has left a lot to be desired, especially from a quarterback play perspective, we know this is a Michigan offense that this year's offense from Michigan at least likes to run the football, and they're doing so at a top 50 clip. They're top 40 in rushing yards per game, top 50 in yards per carry, and that's where you can attack this Illinois defense. Illinois prefers to defend the pass really well. They're below national average in terms of rush defense, so I think Michigan can put up points on the ground. But Illinois, I think they can do some damage through the air. They're better, passing the football. This Michigan rush defense is fantastic. Top 5 in rush defense, top 10 in yards per carry allowed. But Michigan's secondary is susceptible. They're 114th in pass defense. They're giving up a fair amount of completions per game. Completion percentage is fairly high. So I think there's going to be some points scored in this game. I think that, even a game like 24-21 or, 27-23, something like that, gets us up and over the total of 44.5. So I'm going to go with the over 44.5 between Illinois and Michigan. Now we're heading to Cal for a matchup between the Golden Bears and the NC State Wolfpack. This one's going down at 3:30 p.m. Eastern as well. This one's going down on ACC Network. Cal, a 10-point favorite here. Total set at 46.5. And I get why Cal is favored here. NC State 0-7 against the spread this season. They've had, trouble keeping quarterbacks on the field. CJ Bailey has played the majority of the season, with Grayson McCall getting injured multiple times. But that being said, this NC State offense has still been sort of a national, an average team nationally in terms of passing the football. They're top 30 in completion percentage, and they're decent at running the football. They're not great, but the thing is, Cal's pass defense is where you can really get to this Cal defense. They're top 40 against the rush, but 71st nationally against the pass. They're 120th in passing attempts allowed per game. So teams are trying to pass on Cal, and obviously teams like Missouri are going to, not Missouri, Miami are going to be able to do that. And I think NC State's going to try to do it as well. I get why Cal is favored here, but you got to think that there's only so many times that Cal can get knocked down before they don't get back up again. I used the same mindset when I was talking about NC State, not NC State, North Carolina last week, where, look at Cal. I mean, they beat San Diego State. They come out, they lose to Florida State in a game where they could have won had it not been for 2 missed field goals. Then they lose the heartbreaker in the collapse after the bye week against Miami. Now, last week, flying back cross country, they lost at Pitt by 2 points in a game they arguably could have won. Now they have to go back out to the West Coast. It's just a lot for Cal, and I think NC State's going to be up for the challenge here. Cal, to me, just doesn't profile as double-digit favorite, so I'm going to go with NC State here. I'm going to go with the Wolfpack plus the 10 points. Now we head to Tucson for a matchup between the Arizona Wildcats and the Colorado Buffaloes. This one's going down at 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Arizona 2.5-point favorite, total set at 58.5. And to be honest with you, every time I see Colorado on the board now, my first inkling is just to look towards the over, because they play a lot of high-scoring games. This offense continues to be high-octane, but they also still have a tendency to give up a lot of points. And we're going to have to see the health of Travis Hunter as the week progresses, as we get closer to kickoff. But even if he doesn't play, we saw this Colorado offense be able to move the ball on Kansas State when Hunter was on the bench in the second half in that game. And I think that Colorado can definitely air it out on this Arizona defense. It's around national average in terms of pass defense, while Colorado's offense 8th nationally in passing offense, 3rd in completions per game, just outside the top 10 in completion percentage. They still can't run the football, so that's going to be an advantage for Arizona. Maybe they try to stack the box here, but again, Colorado's more than capable of airing it out. But on the other side, Arizona, they can pass as well. They're top 30 in passing. They're the Buffalo's 83rd in pass defense, 82nd in defending the rush. So I think that Arizona's going to be able to move the ball as well. To me, I could easily see a 31-28 kind of game once again here to get us up and over this total. It's right on, the number of where, the odds makers obviously see this, with Arizona laying 2.5 or 3 and total set at 58.5. So I'm going to go with the over 58.5. Like I said, I just think that we have a track meet, and we're probably going to have them whenever Colorado takes the field. Now we head to Ames for a matchup between Iowa State and UCF. This one's going down at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and this one's going down on FS1. And Iowa State, a 13.5-point favorite here. Total set at 50 points. And, I'm standing by it with UCF. I think that the Knights are starting to quit on the season. I mean, they had a couple of rough games. They got stomped by Colorado at home. And then, lost to Florida on the road by double digits. And last time out against Cincinnati, just really could not get anything going consistently. And, they just really struggled offensively in that game. They did average almost 5 yards per carry. They only passed for 201 yards. And Cincinnati still found a way to get the job done. But now you go out on the road against a really rock-solid Iowa State defense. And while, again, another team that, can maybe call into question the level of competition for Iowa State, for the better part of the season, they did have the road win over Iowa, but then followed that up with beatdowns over Arkansas State, Houston, and Baylor. They also went out on the road and got the job done against West Virginia in a tough environment. And right now, what I see with Iowa State is a team that no matter how ugly the game is, they just keep finding a way to get the job done. Just take that game against Houston, for example. They were laying 16 points in that game, had an ugly offensive performance, yet still found a way to win that game by 20 points because they did just enough offensively and the defense was rock solid. And I think that we're going to have that here again against this UCF team. Like I said, I think they've quit. I think they're just over it. So I'm going to take Iowa State in this one. I'm going to lay at 13.5 points. Now we head to Memphis for a matchup between the Tigers and the North Texas Mean Green. This one's going down at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and this one's going down on ESPNU. Memphis up to a 12-point favorite. Total stood at 68.5. And to be honest with you, I was leaning towards North Texas and the over when this line was around 9.5. But now they're up in the 12 range. I like North Texas even more, mainly because I just think this is North Texas offense that can go score for score with Memphis. Now, granted, North Texas, they haven't had the toughest of schedules, but neither has Memphis. And this is a Memphis team that has been winning low-scoring games and been trying to win games with defense. The high-scoring game they had, they got run over by Navy. I mean, this was a Memphis team that in that game, for a team that's relied on defense so well, they gave up 566 yards of total offense. I get it. It's an option offense, not the easiest thing to try to stop. But they also gave up 205 yards passing to Navy. And this was Memphis getting run out of the building considering they put up over 650 yards of offense in that game. So I just don't think that Memphis is going to be able to pull away in this one. I think this is going to be one of those games where the team that has the ball last wins this game. And when you're giving me two scores almost with that style of game in mind, I got to take it here. I'm going to take North Texas plus the 12. I also lean towards the over in this one as well. Our final game takes us to the Swamp in Gainesville for a matchup between the Gators and the Kentucky Wildcats. This one's going down at 7:45 p.m. Eastern on SEC Network. Kentucky, a 2-point road favorite. Total set at 42.5. I think the line is where it is because Graham Mertz got injured for the Florida Gators last time out, and while DJ Lagway has been reliable, to at least step in and eat up some snaps in spots, the reality is that he still hasn't had a ton of game action. Last time out when he was called on upon against Tennessee, still 9 of 17 for 98 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Also went 4 of 4 for 50 yards against UCF. His best game came against Samford. And that really doesn't tell me a whole lot. And now you got to face a Kentucky team that's predicated on playing good defense. And I think it was just a lack of offense that doomed Kentucky in that game against a Vanderbilt team that I think is a lot better than a lot of folks, myself included, probably gave him credit for coming into the season. And I just think that this is a spot where Kentucky can ride that defense to get the job done. It would not surprise me whatsoever if this ended up being like a 13-10 kind of game. So I look towards the under as well. But I'm going to go with Kentucky here. I'm going to lay the 2 points. I'm going to take Kentucky take Kentucky on the money line. That's it. That's your college football breakdown for Week 8 for Saturday's action on October 19th, 2024. Again, if you like this content, make sure you smash that thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. If you're looking for my best bets, the games that I love, head to pickdawgz.com. Click the Premium Picks tab at the top of the page. Whatever you choose to do, use the promo code PICK at checkout for an additional 15% off. But the best value is going to be jumping on one of those long-term passes with Saturday's college football action. A lot of times, those 3-day and 7-day passes are actually less than buying each of the daily packages individually. You're also going to get my Sunday NFL thrown in there. You're going to get, I believe, Tuesday, we start the NBA back up as well. So I'm going to have plays there as well. So this is definitely a great time to jump on. Like I said, the promo code PICK at checkout for 15% off. But I appreciate each and every one of you for joining me for this week's breakdown. See you guys soon. Let's cash some winners.